Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Sunday service, which is on September 18th, 2022. I'd like to go ahead and get started with the sutra chanting with Sambutsuge and then go into the Dharma message. Thank you. Namandam, 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 namandos, namandos. Namandos. 고gem기기 이지무곡 요새엠묘 무요 도사니지가마니 슈고엠요 가이심놈빼 윤약주목 뇨라이요겐 조세무링 쇼가쿠다이온 고르지포 가이몬쇼징 삼마이치에 이독무료 슈쇼케우 진타이zemnem 쇼분호가이 그짐짐노 그고가이타이 무묘요그누 세손요무 닌노시시 진토그무료 그근고다이 지혜짐묘 고묘이소 신도다이셈 감가사분자이쇼호 가도쇼지 미프게단 부세조이 가이닌쇼진 요세삼마이 지혜이조 고세토크분 부교시강 이사이크크 이사다이얌 계시우분약센노크만 무료다이쇼 슈뇨고자 그요이사이시토쇼분 분요그도 겐쇼프격 인요고자 쇼분세가이 부프카케 무슈센노 고묘시쇼 엔시쇼곡 요세쇼짐 이짐남료 료가사분国土大一五種奇妙道場朝鮮国如内四任務闘争加藤愛民東段日祭実法来所新年少女伊藤が国慶楽安の公文神妙税が神書本願の非力少々欲実法生存知恵無下上領子孫知が神行軽量心思食読中画行精進忍術風景ナマンダブナマンダブナ ナマンダブガンニシクドク平等聖祭道本も大神往生安タコナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナナマンナ。Well, good morning, everyone. I'd like to get started with the Dharma message. Um, as a new season, school season starts in September, a lot of these schools are starting, and a lot of the kids are going back to school. And I see one my child is going off to school too as well, and it's nice to see that they go back and to play with all the other kids and these kinds of things. It's nice to see that that there are other kids and their parents too, and it's very a lively scene, and I'm very happy to be a part of that again. One of the things that I've noticed that it's very hard to kind of watch over what my son does a lot of times. I have to do things twice, as I notice. When I have to remind my son when he gets home from school, you have to wash your hands, and this is how you wash your hands. Or, I have to review with him how it is that he has to brush his teeth, and this is how you do it. And I even, bought one of those mouth things, those dentures, not dentures, but a model of teeth, and brushed those teeth and then showed him, where it is that he needs to brush and these kinds of things, right? I have to remind him how to put on his clothes, and I have to remind him how to cut his food and pancakes and steaks and these kinds of things, and how to use ohashi, chopsticks. And so, these kinds of things are things that I had to, repeatedly do with him, tying his shoes and these kinds of things. And I'm sure most of you already know this, but it's something that I have to do over and over again. And through repetition, he gets it, right? It's so as a parent for me, I don't know about you, but I get pretty frustrated, doing this over and over again. It's like, I just told you how to do that like the other day. I just told you how to do it yesterday. Why I gotta do this again, and that kind of thing. So it gets very frustrating for me, and I see the inconvenience that it causes me. And how I get irritated very easily about these things. And when I recall about for me when I was a child, and my parents doing this for me throughout my entire life, my parents have been kind of watching over me as well, and making sure that I went through these processes to learn how it is to survive in this world, to make it in this world, and to be a functioning person within this society. I think it's something that I take for granted, and something that I'm learning as I have to teach my child in terms of how to do these simple tasks and these kinds of things. So my parents are always worried about me, and as I am my child. It's not really reciprocated. I can't say the same for my parents. At all times. I should probably be better about that. But same for my child as well. It's a feeling that's more for the parent towards the child, I believe. But when I hear about this kind of reminds me of a story when I was studying out in Japan. And one of my teachers explains this story, and he explains this story how Amida Buddha is concerned for all sentient beings, and this concern is constant. and that the Buddha is always watching over us, right? In Japanese, technical Buddhist term is used as imotsushin, that the Buddha, Amida Buddha, becomes Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. And, what does this mean? So I'd like to kind of explain what this means a little bit. In the example that my teacher uses, they say, he says, perhaps one day you go to the beach with your father and a son, okay? And the two go out there, out on the beach having a good time, and the son wants to go out for a swim, but the dad kind of decides to stay back and kind of relax in the beach side of the coast. And so the son is, thinking, oh, okay, I can go out to the beach and I can go out there and have a good time by myself. So the son goes out into the ocean and starts playing in the ocean, starts swimming around and having a great time by himself, right? And before he goes out to do this, though, I should mention that he tells his dad, and the dad tells him, if there's anything or if you're in trouble, just call out for me and I'll come to get you, okay? And I'll come to help you out. And so the son says, yeah. Doesn't really pay attention because the son thinks that he is capable of taking care of himself out in the vast ocean, right? Out in the fun ocean. All he's thinking about is swimming, fun time. It's going to be great. So he goes out there into the beach and he's swimming and he's enjoying his time out in the waves. And it's such a great, bright day and the waves are nice. And it's great. And so that some time elapses. And after some time, the son says, okay, I'm getting a little bit tired now. Maybe I'll go back to the coast, right? So he goes back, but he realizes that he's pretty far out in the ocean, right? And so as he tries to get back to the coast, he realizes that the tides have gotten a lot stronger, right? And by this point, he's already kind of tired. And so the tide, as he swims harder and harder, the tide keeps pulling him out further and further out. And he can't get back to shore. And so he starts to get, kind of worried and kind of concerned. And so he starts to swim harder. And he starts to, kick harder. And he starts to, paddle and try all these different moves or swim diagonally and do all these different ways to try to get back to the shore. But he can't get back to the shore no matter what he does. And at this point, he's very tired now. And he's kind of exhausted to the point where he starts to panic. He starts to panic, right? And so before he calls out for Dad, come and save me. Before he can do that, he can already see that the dad already notices that there is something wrong. And the dad is coming towards the child and says, don't worry, I'm coming for you. And he starts to jump into the ocean, and he comes to get the son and pulls the son back to shore. And the son then thanks his dad. Thank you for bringing me back out to onto the shore. I would not know what I would have done were it not for your help. And so he says this to his dad, right? And to express gratitude for his father. So I think in much the same way, Amida Buddha is calling out to us by saying to us, Amida Buddha is here for you. I'm coming to get you. Don't worry. Stay just as you are. Stay where you are. I'm coming for you. And Amida Buddha is coming to get us who are caught in the world of absolute delusion and who are caught in the world of danger. The Buddha watches over us, despite the fact that we are completely oblivious to this truth while we frolic and while we play out in the dangerous world, thinking that the world isn't dangerous, thinking of only the fun things and the fun times that we're going to have, when really this world is one of impermanence, is one of suffering, is one of pain, right? And so only when we realize, when we come to this state of, how shall I say, existential plight, existential crisis, when we sense that we don't know what to do, that is the time in which we can see that the world of absolute truth is always calling out to us. And then at that moment, we turn to the Buddha for guidance? Do we then turn to what's called the Oyasama in Japanese, what's called to our parent in Japanese, right? That's what Oyasama stands for. There's a very famous myokonin, or person of who has really deeply and profoundly understood and was grateful for the Nembutsu teaching. And this is what's also known as a myokonin, which I've kind of mentioned in the past few messages. But one of the famous myokonin is a person by the name of Saichi, Asahara Saichi. And Saichi-san expresses his gratitude for Amida Buddha's benevolence, Amida Buddha's working in a lot of different poems. And in the following poem, he states the following, quote, "My joy, how beyond thought, self and Amida and the Namo Amida Butsu. How fine, the whole world in vastness of space is Buddha, and I am in it. Namo Amida Butsu. My heart and Oyasama, we have just one heart of Namo Amida Butsu," end quote. So my heart then and Amida's heart, Saichi explains, becomes one. This unity, this bond, this connection is called Shinjin. It is the connection that we feel with the world of absolute truth. And that world of absolute truth speaks to us. It calls out to us in the phrase of Namo Amida Butsu. When I say Namo Amida Butsu, my heart and the heart of the Buddha are one. But it's hard because we can't see this Oyasama, right? Where is this parent? When we become adults, we grow independent in this world, and we start to think that we don't need our parents, right? In fact, many people think that parents are kind of mendokusai, right? That's the Japanese term for a nuisance. Something that kind of gets in the way, right? They ask me to go to run to the store and pick up their prescription, or that they ask me to clean up after at the house or something, or they ask me to go pick up some milk or something like that, or they call me while I'm busy at work and they're trying to ask me how to open up Microsoft Word, right? Or how to buy something on Amazon, right? And it's mendokusai, right? It's a nuisance, right? We think oftentimes. But this way of thinking is very un-Buddhistic. Why? Because we are turning our back to that which teaches us, to that which has been teaching us, to that which has taught us about life and the importance of life. Even in their old age, they are teaching us what we will become someday. But not just that, they're teaching us many things that we don't realize even to this day, right? So turning our backs to truth is turning our backs to the Buddha Dharma. And this is the same as what's mentioned in the 18th vow of the Larger Sutra, which is to slander the Dharma. Slandering the Dharma means to turn your back to that which is true, turning your back to that which is the right way of looking at the world, right? This is also known in Japanese as somuku っていうことですね. You turn your back on the world of absolute truth. And this is the same as closing the blinds to block out the sunlight, even though we know that the sunlight is necessary for clarity and for warmth. So as adults, it's very easy to think that we don't need our parents, that we can make it on our own without our parents. We think they have taught us the things that we need to know about how to survive, and that's it. But the truth of the matter is that we are still kind of like children. We're still kids. We are still immature. We still operate, act, and behave like children in the sense that we do things for the ego self. We favor this me, this I, over all other beings. And that is this childish way of thinking. Our spiritual parent, or I should say our universal parent, or again, the term Oyasama, right, is Amida Buddha, guiding us like the gentle parent who is watching from afar. It's only when we sense a crisis in our lives, an existential crisis, where we feel we are suffocating in this world, as if we're kind of like in a straitjacket and we can't break free from this world, or we're caught in a maze and we just don't know how to get out, that the world of Amida Buddha's infinite wisdom and compassion emerges and grasps us as we are, getting us out of the straitjacket, getting us out of the maze, getting us out of this world of delusion. We call this, in another phrase, the voiceless voice of Amida Buddha. It is voiceless because it is subtle. It is voice because even in silence, it is loud. Right? In the Jusei, there is a phrase that we often chant, Seppo Shishiku, Seppo Shishiku, right? I will preach the Dharma like a lion's roar. That's what it translates to. I will preach the Dharma like a lion's roar. And this is what Amida Buddha states, right? And Amida Buddha, in this sense, is calling out to us always. When I say Amida Buddha, I don't mean Amida Buddha like a deity. Amida Buddha is a god. It is not a physical being. Amida Buddha is the world of truth speaking to us. It is truth that personifies and manifests itself as a living, breathing Buddha, but it is truth itself that is calling out to us. So the heart of truth and my heart become one, and that is Shinjin. In other words, when we are deeply moved in life, whether that is from a book that we read, a musical piece that you hear by a large symphony, or a homeless person playing his guitar, when you go out on a walk at the beach and you see the setting sun, or you see your grandchild take her first few steps, or when someone close to you passes away. In all of these instances, are we moved, right? We are deeply moved. And you cannot help but to sense this connection that you feel with the world of absolute truth. And that connection is what we call this becoming one with the hearts of Amida Buddha and our world becoming, and my heart becoming one. We may not know what to call it, but we can feel it, right? We all feel it because it doesn't discriminate between young and old. Truth doesn't discriminate between men and women, or where you come from, your background, or these kinds of things, right? The world of absolute truth is calling out to all sentient beings. And we Jodo Shinshu Buddhists call this connection to absolute truth Shinjin. It is when the mind of Amida Buddha, the world of truth, and my heart become one. It is to hear this voiceless voice. But we have to continue listening to this voiceless voice. Continue listening to the Buddha Dharma and what that is. We have to, in a sense, train ourselves, right? And I don't like to use the word train too much because I don't want to say that, I don't want to make it sound like that we need to, this is something that we need to work on and get better at, right? But really, anyone can encounter this truth. It is just a matter of how to become aware of this truth. So in a sense, we're not really training. It's more like learning to become aware. Learning to become aware of this voiceless voice. The more we listen, the more we deepen our understanding, the more we see just how prevalent Namo Amida Butsu is, just how prevalent this voiceless voice is in every instance we are being called upon. It is just a matter of being able to pick up on this, being able to hear this. And the more we listen to the Buddha Dharma, the more this becomes evident in the experiences of our lives. So with that, I would like to end today by saying, let us together, let's listen to this voiceless voice, hear for this voiceless voice, and that's what the Nembutsu teaching is, the Nembutsu of Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much for your time. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Namo Amida Butsu.